Hey guys, this is OddOneGaming. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. So guys, we're continuing the Bateater series that I've started because I want to have a clan boss guide like for every single DPS that I can think that should be used or might be used by people in the Bateater comp. Today we're back on Shadowfed aka Sundance's account to showcase the Bateater using Fayne, the Ratatouille. She's the the Skinwalker's epic that has a pretty good kit that makes her really viable for using in the Bateater comp. We're gonna start with the basics of the team, which are obviously the two man-eaters, Seeker, Painkeeper, and a DPS in the DPS slot. So for this type of comp, usually you want to have the masteries of going down the offense tree and the defense tree. On the offense tree, you always want to take the crit rate, crit damage. You want to take the Grim Resolve because most of the time you will be under 50% HP. You want to absolutely take Life Drinker because you will heal from doing the War Master procs. You will manage to heal back up, so you will have the HP in order to proc the Retribution, which is a chance to counterattack whenever your champions lose 25% of their HP. Counterattacking means extra damage because you have another shot at having a War Master proc. Then everything else just going down this tree, taking single out, bring it down, and methodical for more damage. And apart from these ones that I mentioned, everything is optional. The defense tree, again, you don't really care what you take, you just want to have the retribution. The other masteries that you can choose from here, you can choose whatever. If you think you're gonna use the champions for other areas of the game, just choose the ones that you think will help you the most, but bear in mind to keep the ones that I mentioned. So these are the masteries for Man-Eater. For the second Man-Eater, the same thing. For the Seeker is going to be the same thing. For Painkeeper the same, and for Fayne the same. The only thing you need to bear in mind is if you're going to use Painkeeper, if you're going to use the Retribution Mastery for Painkeeper, make sure you have at least 8, if not 10, speed difference between your Painkeeper and your Seeker. The reason being, if there's not that at least 8 speed difference, she will go out of sync because of third meter gain that she has on her A1. If you have the difference that I mentioned, it will not go out of sync, everything will run smoothly. So the builds that we have on the champions are on the fast man-eater, because usually on champions that you have at a higher speed, if your gear isn't too great, you're trying to just hit the speed or trying to get some funky sets. Like in our case, we managed to get a toxic set because he's gonna have higher speed. You cannot get him to have as much damage in his gear as possible, so we put him in a toxic gear because Fayne will not cover the whole of the poisons on her own, so we brought one person with the toxic set. If you don't have the speed on the toxic pieces, you can always put Painkeeper in a toxic set because her overall damage is not as good. So the stats on the fast man-eater are 267 speed, 2.9k attack, 159 crit damage. The minimum speed that you need here is 265, but it has like a higher range. You can go to 270, 270 something, I think. But 265 is the minimum. The minimum, obviously, you will always try to go towards the minimum side so you can put more offensive stats on your champions. The slow man-eater runs at 247. He can be 240 upwards. Reason why we have him at 247 is because he uses Jintora as his main DPS, and this is the minimum that he needs. But for this one, obviously we're not going to change it. It works at the same speed. He has 3k attack and 233 crit damage. Just random sets, one speed set. You can have him in a Fury set if you have decent Fury pieces. And I guess that's about it. That would give him more damage. You could also use the Avenging accessories, like if you have them, for an extra chance of proccing that counterattack, but usually it happens because of the mastery, so depends on how your gear is. It's not necessarily required, but you can test it out, see if it helps your team. Then we have the Seeker. Seeker is running at 250 speed, 4.1k attack, 216 crit damage. Just attack gear, we didn't have good enough Fury or other sets to use on him, so we just put as much damage as we could on him. On Painkeeper we have a speed, perception and some other random sets. She has 240 speed. You see the 10 speed difference between her and Seeker. Seeker is 250 and Painkeeper is 240. We have the 10 speed, so the retribution mastery on Painkeeper will not give us any problems. The other stats, she has 3k attack, 1.9k defense, 217 crit damage. Not the best in the world, she doesn't do crazy damage anyway, but at least she's crit capped, she's gonna do some decent damage in there. And the main event, Fayne, we are running her at 220 speed, 100% crit rate obviously, 5.2k attack, 179 crit damage and 239 accuracy. Her stats are not as good because she is in the secondary relentless gear that Sundance has on his account, because his main one is on Jintoro obviously. But we will see that even with this secondary relentless gear, it actually works, and Fayne will do enough damage to be able to secure a 1 key for us. The reason why he has 2, I think I mentioned, if not I'm gonna mention it again. The reason why he has Fayne as well is because when I built his Bateater, he said, okay, if it's not gonna be 1 key on every affinity, what other option do I have? And I said, well, we can just build your Fayne and test it out and see if we can actually be the 1 key for when you're facing force, as Jintoro stronger than Fayne on like every other affinity. Just for force he needed 1, so we built Fayne and we made it work. So let's go check out the presets and let's take it for a spin and see how this one is going to work. Okay, I need to check, I need to get a key. Give me a second. He said that he has lots of keys. Perfect, we just had one on hand. 2 days is gonna expire. I'm quite sure he's not that desperate for keys. So let's go in there again. And let's see, Ultra Nightmare Force, you already had prepared the presets for him. So for Fayne, it doesn't matter, she usually does what she has to do, she has good AI. On the Fast Maneater we have priority A1 and then second priority A2. The reason why we have this one set, even though he will always use his Ancient Blood when it's ready, they don't like to use their A2s if there's not decreased attack on the clan boss, and they sometimes go with the A1 instead of the A2. You always want to your Maneaters to go with the A2 when it is on cooldown, because it does more damage than the A1. So, okay, so this is the Fast Maneater, the 267 one. Slow Maneater, same thing, priority A1, second priority the A2, but you make him open with the A2 in order for it to work really well and be full auto from the start. Seeker, you have nothing to do here. With other DPSs, depending on what the passives they have or what other stuff they have, you might need to open with the A1, but in this case you can even like this, full auto. He does what he needs to do. Painkeeper, priority A1, and then second priority the A2, because sometimes she doesn't like to use the A2 at the right times. So we put it like this to make sure she always uses the skills at the right time. Okay, I forgot to mention her kit. So basically the reason why Fayne is so good in here is because she does decreased defense and weaken for 3 turns and on a 4-turn cooldown. So basically we will always have the decreased defense and weaken on the clan boss no matter what. She also brings 2 poisons and a decreased attack that will give us obviously more damage. The decreased attack is not gonna help us because obviously we're gonna be unkillable for 50 turns, but those 2 big poisons will help us a lot. It's gonna be more damage than having 2 people in toxic sets in there. So she's gonna dish out some pretty good damage. So let's run it and see how this one goes. Let's see, full auto. Yeah, there's nobody's aura in this team that could help us out. That's why I just put her in the lead, and that's that. And well, that's about it. So let's see how this one actually goes. So she starts with a decreased defense and weaken. See, because of the retribution we already start counterattacking because she's really squishy. Fayne is extremely good to be used in circumstances where you can keep her alive, or if you're using an unkillable comp. I had some people ask me sometimes, oh, can I not use my Fayne in my, I don't know, my killable comp? She can work, but it's really hard to make her survive because her base defense, I think it's 739, which is extremely low, so it makes it really hard to keep her alive when you're using a counterattack team or a team that you're trying to survive with, you know, having high defense and high HP. So that's why her best place in the game, in my opinion, is like in unkillable teams, in the Bateaters or any other unkillable teams, or like, I don't know, faction wars in other areas. She can dish out a pretty decent amount of damage. So I'm gonna take myself off of the screen, guys, let you see this one through, and we're gonna come back at the end and see what damage we have done. Be right back. And we're back, almost at the finish line, guys, almost there. As we can see, we already hit the 1 key requirement, which I think is 70.2, something like that. We're gonna check afterwards. Anyway, it's like the team looks pretty solid, pretty confident. Like I said, the gear isn't the craziest in the world, and as you can see, it's pretty easy 1 key. So even if we face, let's say, Force Affinity where Seeker is wrong affinity, let's say we lose about 5 million damage. We can even lose 8 million damage and still gonna work. Let me move myself a little bit out of the way so I can show you the damages. So Fayne 24.4 million damage, the Maneaters 14 million and 13.7, so quite close. One has the toxic, the other one has higher like raw damage. Seeker 17 million and Painkeeper 8.5 million. She's on the lower side because she doesn't do that much damage herself, but she enables this whole team to work. And at the same time, her A2, which heals by 50% of her HP, gives HP to everybody else, giving everybody else a higher chance to proc that retribution. So this is the team. It works pretty insane. It's a really nice team, and it's so nice to be able to have a team that you just click after you set the presets and build it all right. Just click play. You can leave for 15-20 minutes like it says here, 20 minutes. Come back and your one key is done and you can continue with your day. One thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning is the fact that you need to make sure, in order for this team to work, you need to make sure you have your man-eaters A3s booked. Otherwise this doesn't work. You need both of them to have this booked, and you need your seeker to have the A2 booked, as well as Painkeeper's A3 booked. So you need these cooldowns to be taken down. Everything else, if you book, it's extra damage from the books that you get from everybody else, and like lower cooldown on, for example, the man-eaters A2s. So that's all. You need the cooldowns booked and everything else. Same thing for Fayne. You want her to, obviously, you want to have 100% chance to land these, and the cooldown as lower as possible for as much damage as possible. But it's not a priority. Priorities are the cooldowns. Anyway, I've rambled enough for this one. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Hope this one helps you out. If you have any other question about this, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will read through them and answer to you as quickly as I can. But that will be all for today. Thank you for popping by, guys. I will see you in the next video. Peace. Love you. Bye, guys.